Ladies and gentlemen, joining us is a man who does not need an introduction, but we'll give him one. This guy took a league from being good to phenomenal. Ratings through the roof. Everybody else has kind of plateaued or gone down. What has this league done under this man's leadership? Well, it's just gone up and to the right in every single factor. The commissioner of the greatest league on earth, the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, Roger Goodell.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing, Commissioner? Hey, we got this is a big week. 4 straight days of NFL football to kick off the season. It's the biggest of all time. How are you feeling going in?
4 straight days and a trip to Brazil. So that's pretty good. So it should be fun. I love this weekend. This is where it all gets going.
Okay, so for you, a lot of your work happens in the off season, or is regular season also very, I'm trying to get into the life of the commissioner of the NFL. We were talking about this earlier. Is your busy season done now because off season is when everything gets handled, or how does it work for you?
Our downtime is like July 2nd to July 5th.
America, hell yeah.
You know, the off season, you spend a lot of time preparing for the next year. You know, everything we do, whether it's rules have to go through competition committee, then voting of the membership, other votes for the membership. So we're really, the off season has become very busy. Obviously, you add in the draft, you add in the combine. So there's a lot going on. The season gets you back to a little bit more of a rhythm. And obviously, you're reacting a lot to what's happening on game day. So that makes it fun. It's a little bit of a nice focus for us.
Okay, so let's talk about game days. Game days are going to look a little bit different now, especially with how games are starting with this new kickoff. The dynamic kickoff was obviously passed this past offseason, and it was basically with the guys or the conversation of hey, we have to change this play or we're going to lose this play, and nobody in football wants to lose the kickoff. So modeling after the XFL, the special teams coordinators came together with this particular hybrid-style kickoff. How do you feel about how it went in the preseason? Obviously, returns are up through the roof, and is there a chance to still change this through the season and tweak it to make it better so we get what we're hoping for out of this hybrid kickoff?
Pat, first off, preseason, you don't see a lot, right? So to make a judgment after 3 weeks of the preseason is probably a little bit questionable because coaches are holding back. And we'll see what they do once the regular season starts. But to your point, stats-wise, it was up. I think it's very clear we're going to get more returns. It's also very clear that the average start drive is going to be out probably 5 or 6 yards, close to the 30-yard line. Again, good for offense. And I think we'll see some longer returns. We saw that in the context of just the 3 weeks. The safety part looks good, but it's still too early to tell. But we don't want to make any judgments just off the data we have. But that's the driver for us. Make this play the exciting play it's always been, but make it also safer, closer to the safety level of a normal scrimmage play.
It hasn't always been. It was for a long time. Then the last couple of years, I think even I, who am one of the biggest kickoff advocates on earth, would say that it became just a routine, ceremonial type play and worthy of going to the bathroom. But Mr. Commissioner, do people call you that? Do people call you Mr. Commissioner? Is that what do they call you?
You can if you have to, but I prefer Roger. But okay, whatever you want.
Raj?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Roger that. You know what I mean? I will dive into that. Was there a chance, are you worried though, and just as a special teams guy, how will you handle this situation? If they just say 30, touchback, to hell with it, we'll just give up the 30, and it becomes a routinely ceremonial touchback thing again. I know it's not normal for the NFL to change anything during the season, but is there a thought that maybe a conversation will take place about tweaking this thing before we get what it is whenever we see it happen in regular season?
Well, I think what would happen, no, not before the regular season. The competition committee met last week. They made some very minor adjustments. They were really very minor. I think what we're going to do, Pat, is what we always do. We put this in for a year. We'll evaluate it for the entire year. If we see that type of circumstance come out, probably evaluate where the ball goes out to the 35 next year and try that. I think it depends on sort of the outcome and what it is we think we can tweak.
Okay, well, I love to hear that, and we can't wait to see how it goes. I do fear that it's just going to become a touchback thing, but if not, hopefully some magic takes place and we could save an important play and a lot of important jobs for special teamers who make up, obviously, a core portion of the roster. Let's talk about some stats and analytics that we looked up. Okay, Mr. Commissioner, Raj, we looked these up so you can puff your chest a little bit. Do you know that every season since 1990, at least 4 teams have qualified for the playoffs after missing postseason action the year before? Well, that streak to 35 years straight it could turn. 35 years straight of that particular thing happening. And 6 teams last year had this rule happen for them, including the Cleveland Browns, the Detroit Lions, who almost went, Green Bay, who almost went, Houston, obviously, was a surprise to everybody, Los Angeles Rams, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why do you think this is the case? And do you think the product on the field is the reason why the ratings and money is everything up and to the right? And how do we preserve that for as long as possible, Commish?
Well, I always think it always starts with the game of football. So when the game of football is competitive, when it's exciting, we feel like that product is the best in the world. And I think that shows because I think the fan base is telling us that. Obviously, you rely on your partners to make sure that the production and that we're reaching fans where they are. And, we've added new partners to our family over the last several years. And I think they've brought a new approach to how to cover the NFL, how to use creators and how to try to use technology that I think fans really enjoy. So it's a constant evolution, but we always spend the offseason, going back to your first point, how do we make the league better? And that can be on the field, but it can also be around the field and around our events. And so that's where the focus has been. And I believe ultimately that's why it continues to grow. But I also think, and none of those numbers are reflected there in the context of our international growth, which I think is, it's a big future for us.
Yeah, let's talk international. And how often do people tell you, hey, let's make sure football remains football? I was in one meeting that you were in. Oh, yeah,
sure.
I was in one meeting that you were in, a roundtable thing, and there were some old football players that literally every other sentence that came out of their mouth was like, it's football. This is football. To you, that's a big deal. Honestly, keeping the product.
It is. I look in the mirror every day and I say, keep it football. But the reality, Pat, it's a tough game. These guys are bigger, faster, more athletic. It's back to fundamental football, right? I don't think we've taken the contact out. What we've tried to do is remove those dangerous techniques that we see an increased rate of injury. The hip drop's a good example of it. We'll try to coach that out this year, try to get it out of the game because it deserves to be out of the game. When you have the serious injuries you have and 4 times the rate of injury, it's just not acceptable in the game.
Kamish, I was down at the league owner meetings down there in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
It was hot as shit. I forget what it was. It was down in Florida. It was very hot. But Coach...
You should have been in the room.
Well, especially when you're talking. I assume it does get a little hot whenever we're trying to pass some things. That's good passion. That's good energy. But I saw Coach Harbaugh, Jim, and it was my first time seeing him since the national championship or whatever. And I know he's super big football guy. He is one of the most football guys of all time. And I'm like, hip drop tackle, what does that even mean? Like, how do you feel about it? He goes, got to get out of the game. Got to get out of the game. I'm like, what are you talking? Like, everybody that I've ever talked to that plays defense, they're like, I never was taught a hip. I don't even know what a hip drop. Like, that's not on purpose. Harbaugh grabs me by my shoulders and he goes, it's just taking this. We just wanted to, and he's like a big dude. He's like, this just can't happen. And he's like, for the good of the game, this can't happen anymore. And it was like, okay, that makes sense. Feels like you're going to be able to, you got Jim to buy in, which means I think you'll be able to keep everybody to buy in. But everybody's worried that the toughness is going to get taken out of the game. I don't think that's the case because I believe you, and nobody's going to, I'm going to get heckled for saying this. Roger Goodell is a football guy. Mm-hmm. Your life is actually football through and through. I think you're trying to persevere and keep it around forever. Now, you talk about international growth. Let's dive into that. Obviously, England has had a game. Germany had a game last year. I think there was a couple million people in the queue. Canada has hosted games. I think Japan hosted a preseason game a long time ago. Mexico has hosted games in the past. Now you're going to Mexico regular season. Yeah, like Monday Night Football.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was like Monday Night Football game. Now, opening week on Friday, you're going to Brazil. When we were with DAZN a few years back, they had the international NFL rights, and it was like Italy, Spain, I think Germany was in there, and then Brazil was like this massive hotbed of NFL fans. Why did you pick Brazil? All the stuff that's being chatted about, the things that could potentially happen outside the stadium with the players and everything like that, how much does that weigh into the thought of where you're going? And how long do you see us going to Brazil for football? And how's South America growth going to go in your eyes, you think?
Well, we follow the data. Fan base is incredible down there. This is sort of like the spark that just creates the fire. And so that's the point of this regular season game, is to make sure that we can bring our game directly to those fans, and we're seeing that reaction. It's we're a couple days out now, and tickets are really at a premium. It's hard to find. There's a lot of excitement in town. So when you bring our game and share it with others, they love it. And that's essentially what we're doing, is letting the game sell it. And, obviously there'll be a lot of entertainment around it. There'll be a lot of excitement, not just the football game, but, every time we've done this, they want more. And, you take Munich, you mentioned before, the first year, Tom Brady told me after the game, he said, that was one of the best experiences I've ever had in football.
London.
And that's a big statement from a TV. But the reality is we almost had to throw people out of the stadium. They were still singing almost 40 minutes after the game. And that's what we're doing. We're sharing the NFL experience with the world. And we are really focused on becoming a global game.
And I think global expansion is obviously, still very viable for you. I mean, there's still so many parts of the world that are other sports first. And then as soon as they get a chance to see our American Gladiator game, I mean, it's only a matter of time, I think, before the entire world gets in there. And I assume you're dabbling and trying to figure out where the NFL is going to head to next, and having it be week 1. That feels like a big statement from you for an international game, especially Packers-Eagles. Like, those are 2 sold-out stadiums if those are both home games, right? Jacksonville used to get sent to England a lot, obviously, because they have ties over there, but not necessarily a sellout every single game. Green Bay and Philadelphia, that place has been sold out forever and ever. Amen. I mean, that's how it goes. So to have this game be international, be in Brazil, opening night, making its own night almost Friday, is a massive statement, I think, by you guys. Is that a right way to read it, or am I looking into it too much?
No, it's absolutely right. I mean, 2 historic franchises playing in an historic game. They're first in Brazil. So to us, it is making a statement. I'm glad you read it that way. For us, we want the world to know we're coming, that we're bringing football. Our clubs have agreed to play up to 8 regular season games. We have expectations that we'll go well beyond that. We think we'll be at 7 next year. We're already going to Spain next year. We'll be back in Mexico, I hope, by next year. So we're really excited about where the future is for us on an international basis.
We are too. We just won international a week ago, and we have a pitch for you from Tone Diggs, who's an AP voter this year for NFL awards.
Yeah, Commissioner, you mentioned Spain next year, and I asked you at the draft about bringing the draft to Pittsburgh. Thank you. Appreciate that for you doing that for us.
Thank you, Hank. Thank you, Commissioner.
We have another plea after going to Florida State, Georgia Tech, in Ireland. It was unbelievable, and you see how the college does over there, and I actually had the pleasure of having a conversation with Dan Rooney III over there, because I think he was exploring bringing a potential Steelers game over to Ireland, because the fan base there is incredible with the ambassador. Have you thought about going to Ireland soon and maybe a Steelers game, maybe a Steelers? We thought Steelers Patriots felt right. Maybe.
Yeah, a lot of Irish folks, a lot of Irish.
Yeah, well, I hear from the Rooneys every other day about going back to Ireland to play. So, yes, Ireland is definitely on the watch list. Let's put it that way. I would expect to be over there.
You need to, hey, listen, Raj.
It's good time.
It is
good. Pat, you're coming with us.
Well, I don't know if I need to go back into that city. I had 30 Guinnesses on one night. I mean, obviously you're not supposed 30. To. Raj, they go down.
That's impressive.
Thank you. I thought that was the same reaction that everybody would have. Not everybody had that reaction. Just want to let you know that. If you have a game in Ireland, we would obviously love it and take the show. We would take the whole show there, obviously. And I think they would be set up right for it, as would most places. I'm pumped to see where you take it to next. Australia, obviously, would be a difficult thing to figure out, but they're starting to have more NFL guys with the punters and the time zone. I'd be pumped to see how you navigate that. Speaking of navigating, your schedule this season, D-Bud has a question for you.
Yeah, Commissioner, talk briefly about your offseason. I hope you had fun with that. But I'm a Sunday ticket guy, maybe some red zone, throw a couple games here. What's your travel schedule like during the season? Like, how do you decide which games to go to? Do you try to watch them all on like some type of screen? I know you have that button under your seat at all time to control scores and ending of the game.
Yeah.
What's your travel like throughout the season? How do you make those decisions?
It usually starts with a request. If there's, a big moment, like I'm coming back from Brazil for the Giants game because it's the start of their 100th season. So They asked if I'd come out there, and teams are celebrating different things during the season. So I try to get around to as many stadiums. I'll probably get to 27 or 28 games this year. Obviously, having the Thursday and the Sunday and the Monday help me sort of double up once in a while. Because when I stay at home, I make a lot of notes. I can see a lot more when I'm home, which everybody here hates. But I come back with 2 pages of notes, 3 pages of notes. Because I can watch everything and I can see what's going on.
What year is this for you as commissioner?
Good question. 2006. It's about 19th season, I think. So
Way to go,
Hell yeah.
43rd, I think, overall, though. When I started as an intern in '82.
And you're taking that many notes still every single Sunday. You could have mailed it in, let other people handle it. You know, you got a McCarthy over there who could enter a room and say, McCarthy here, get a deal done for the NFL.
Good point.
Yeah,
Good point.
Yeah, he could. At this point, he could get that done. Can't figure out the angle of a camera, but he could figure out everything else if he had to. The fact that you're still this invested, this is like, I don't want to say passion project because you get paid very well, but you take a lot of shots on your shins and you've created immense profit for a league and owner, so your payment is worthy, I do believe personally. But it's like a passion project for you still. Like how, like what are you gonna do whenever you're not involved with? Like you think about players.
That's a question my wife asks me all the time. I don't know because it has been such a passion. It would be a big adjustment for me, but you know everything comes to an end, and you know when I feel like I can't give it everything I have, I can't give it the passion that you're talking about. Then I'm definitely hanging up my cleats. But I don't feel that. I couldn't be more excited. I'm ready to go, and I can't sleep at night because I'm so excited.
Well,
I'm ready.
There's a lot of things going on, so we need you to at least stay in that seat for a while because you've been able to navigate it. Let's go to the holidays. Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, Commish, last time we talked to you at the draft, there were kind of whispers of the whole, Christmas games being on Netflix, but it hadn't been announced yet. Now that is happening. Yeah. How excited are you on the prospect? I mean, obviously, we all see the numbers. We know what NFL games do, but the amount of new eyeballs you'll be able to get on Netflix, how enticing is that? And then also, will these Christmas games be available on, like, the European versions of Netflix? Like, is it going to be kind of part of that global expansion as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know it's one of the reasons we chose Netflix is because we were looking for a global media partner, and they are global. They're nearly 300 million subscribers on a global basis.
So many.
They really wanted to get into live sports with the NFL. We love that. They wanted to own Christmas Day. We love that too. And I think this was a chance for us to take our games on a platform that we know a lot of our fans are there, and we need to go to those platforms. And also, I think they're going to bring a different twist to it. You know, they're really excited by this. They want to make it something that's different than what you might see on other carriers. And again, we think that'll be appealing for our fans.
Yeah, Commissioner, you're just trying to get every dollar.
Money grab.
That's all it is, Commissioner. You just want you want to get every single dollar. And I talked to Brian.
You know, Pat.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You want to finish that one?
Yeah.
I'll take you on that.
Yeah. So I was talking to Brian Rolat, who is the media guy, I believe, for the NFL. I believe he's Rogers' number 2 whenever it comes to media. I don't know the exact titles of the suits, so I apologize over there. But he's been around a long time, 27 years in this entire thing. And I talked to him about like the backlash of the Peacock and the Netflix and the Amazon and this and this and this. And he goes like, people are blaming us or saying that we have a money grab or whatever. He said there's numerous times where we could have done money grabs. We do not want to take the money grab path. We want growth. We want our game to still be seen by a lot of people. And he said some of these platforms, Netflix more specifically, people that have never seen an NFL game are going to be able to see it because they're on there. So it's almost like we're trying to do the game in the audience a favor from going to some of these platforms while also having new partners come along and see what the future is. It's kind of how he explained it to me. Now, I don't know if I took his statement 100% correct in a phone call, but I believe...
No, that's right. At the end of the day, the number one thing we look for is reach to new fans. And if someone paid us a lot of money and it had a very small audience, we wouldn't do it because that doesn't help us much. Now, maybe close to an exception with that was Peacock, because that was an opportunity for us to really open up a platform that was important for us on streaming. And it worked. And now Peacock has got the NBA. They had the Olympics. That's now providing a better platform and a better service to our fans. And ultimately, The NFL was part of building that. It's the same way when we went with Fox 25 years ago. They weren't even a network at the time. They didn't have a sports division. They called it NFL. That was it. That was sports. And they built something that was incredibly valuable to, I think, our fans over the last several decades. And that's what we look for as partners who understand our content, understand the ability to bring in new audiences, to bring in advertisers, but more importantly, provide a great product for our fans.
That Madden documentary explaining the story of Fox is awesome. I would recommend it for anybody that's interested in football, the NFL, and business, because NFL and Madden were kind of the move for Fox to create their entire entity. And then you talk about Peacock. You and NBC have been great partners for a long time. Yeah. So that's another thing, like doing business with people that you've done business with for a long time. This is the modern world that we're in. It's going to get to a point. I respect the way you guys have done it, although I understand where people get pissed about missing one game or two games. But majority of football games are viewed free television. You've done great.
Well, Pat, the games in those every game in those home markets, it is shown on free television, but we're still close to 90%, 85 to 90% of our games are on free television, and that's far and away any other league worldwide.
Is this what you said on the stand in California whenever they were questioning when you were going in there? I don't know if you heard our coverage of that whole thing. You walking in there to testify, we were like, we wish we could be in there right now. We wish so bad. And that's the whole scene, but I think it's all because of the passion of fans. Like, it's a good problem to have, but it's certainly something that you don't want a majority of your fans to start thinking, because it's not based in reality, but, there is business to be had here. Everything doesn't go for free.
But Pat, that's why we were so strong on defending it, because we think our media policies are as fan-friendly as you can get, far better than any other league on a global basis. And we pride ourselves on that, and that's why we go to defend that when that happens.
That's pretty much what Brian said. You got a good group over there, too, now that I've got a chance to meet him. Last question here from Boston Connor, and we appreciate your time. We know it's a busy week.
Yeah, Roger, big conversation this offseason has been kind of the use of Guardian caps, not so much in practice, but in the preseason games, and now it feels as though players are going to use them during regular season games, too. Is this something you guys always kind of thought was going to happen with the Guardian caps? And also, how far off are we from, a product of a helmet that is the same quality of safety as a regular helmet with a Guardian cap on top of it?
It's a really good question, and we already actually have a helmet that is as safe as the one with a Guardian cap. So I think we've already achieved that. But if a player is comfortable in what I'll call an older helmet, not the last generation, I think we have 6 new helmets come out this year, all scored incredibly high on the safety standards that we go through. And if you wore an old helmet with a Guardian cap, that new helmet would exceed that or be just at the same level. There'd be no marginal difference in it. So the reality is that exists already today. I think the big change for us in helmets, besides raising that bar and raising the standard, is going to be getting position-specific helmets. So you get different impacts, right? A quarterback could have it back here, defensive line, offensive line here. And that's already on the field also. And so it's an adjustment because players want to get used to that helmet. But they've done it. I think we had 360 players that changed helmets this year and upgraded to better helmets. That's good for the game. That's good for our players.
It happens every year, too. Every training camp, there's like a new helmet that's been certified. I think you guys have been focusing on this for a while. Some of them are incredibly uncomfortable. Some of them look stupid, but nowadays it's almost like we've got to the point where it doesn't matter.
Nope.
Like it almost looks cool because you have that quarterback one. If that thing has a big,
I don't know.
Could you imagine?
I don't know.
Could you imagine they put like
swag?
I'm not getting into it right.
It's sort of like one of your haircuts, isn't it?
All right, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Hey, before we let you go, if I didn't ask, I'd be the worst journalism human of all time.
Yes.
Where are you right now? Good-looking wood. Got some good-looking wood there.
Beautiful mahogany.
I see a bunch of NFL balls. Is this your office there? That is your office?
This is the office. Those footballs are all footballs that were from the Super Bowls, game balls. And Pat, I think it's about time you brought the show to the NFL office. All of you. Mm-hmm. We'd love to have you.
You sure?
Okay.
Oh, Is that you're not sure or?
No, I didn't think that would. I didn't think that was going to be coming this way. So bring the show to the NFL office. We'll do like a tour. We'll be able to like walk around, see things, touch every one of those Super Bowl footballs, act like we were there, wear a ring.
Sit at your desk.
Is that what you're thinking? Sit at your desk, sign some paperwork,
Eat some peanut M&Ms.
Peanut M&Ms for sure. We'll do the whole. Is that what we're doing, or what are we doing?
Use your private bathroom.
Yeah, I'm still working on those M&Ms from the draft. That was you guys killed me on that one.
Well, you look
Thank
good.
you.
You look good. What are you talking about?
You guys are welcome. We'd love to have you here. Everyone would love it.
All right,
Come anytime.
We'll do our show live from the NFL office.
Okay.
Whoa.
Deal?
Let's have it.
Boom! Come on. All right, let's figure it out. Safe travels to Brazil and back. Continue
Thank
leading
you,
the
guys.
way. We appreciate you. I'm 37 years old. The boys in their 30s. We need the NFL to continue to be king for about the next 30 years or so. And we'll go into retirement.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and keep it going, Roger. We appreciate your big brain, brother.
You got it, Pat.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, we appreciate you. Commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell. Thank you, buddy. Hell yeah, dude. Keep going, Raj. Immediately after I said that, he said, "You got it, babe," on the way out of that entire thing.